everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with day 8 of my 2018 Christmas series. Some have asked why it's not called a card series or a tag series. I'm just calling it a Christmas series because I'm doing cards, I'm doing tags, you never know what else could come in. So it's always going to be a surprise. So, you can see the two products that I'm going to feature. The first one is by Simon Says Stamp. It's part of the new release, and this is nothing but snowflakes. And of course, the My Favorite Things Ho 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 die. Now, somebody, I think there was something else that I did a Ho 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 on. You flip it around, it goes oh oh oh. Think about that. It's just a thought. Made me giggle when someone told it to me. Anyway, so we're going to start by creating our own pattern paper. Now, what I also want you to know is from this one piece of pattern paper that we're creating here, we're going to get 2 cards, just like you saw. So I loaded up, grabbed all my acrylic blocks, put all the stamps on there, set up. I'm using Night of Navy from Stampin Up. And I believe the other color I'm using is Soft Sky. Yes. Maybe. Yes. So, with just these 2 colors, now I am a fan of the Stampin' Up! Inks as well, along with others, but I really do love the impression that they give, especially for solid stamps. I think Stampin' Up! Ink is great for solid stamps. You get a solid coverage. But you can see, as I'm stamping, some of them I'm stamping off to the side so that I'm going to use the second generation. Or I'm stamping it off and going back into another color to get some different blends going on there. Or I'm going to stamp it off twice and I'm going to use the third generation stamp. I'm really not cleaning in between my snowflakes as I'm creating this background. Again, yes, the ink could get into the ink pad, especially going from dark to light. If you ever do this, you should go light to dark. I'm okay with it. It's eventually the inks are going to level it out. There's not enough ink that I'm putting on the pad that's going to cause me a great headache. I know it looks like it is, but I just don't stress over that. I used to, but I mean, honestly, it's just not bugging me. I am going to even that out, and you'll see as we go on what I'm actually going to grab next. So it'll actually push those inks back down into the pad. Now you can see I grabbed my Nuvo brushes. I am in love with these brushes. So what I've done is I've bought a brush. They come in sets of 2. And I believe I bought 5 sets. Yes, 5 sets of 2. So I have 10, I believe. And basically, it's just for each of the color groups. So in this case, I have one for blues, dark and light. One for teals, dark and light. And then that's how I use them. It doesn't have to always be the same color. You can see I'm using the brush on that lighter color. So by me going back and forth on that ink pad, it's going to mix the colors, so to speak. I mean, yes, you're going to see the impression, but as you can see, I'm not seeing the blue coming up on the ink. Being in reverse. I wanted to use a brush to have it softer. These get better as you use them. So when you first use them, yes, you're going to hate them. You're going to think it's a hot mess. But as you keep using them, they get better and better, and the blend is softer and softer and smoother. If I used a mini blender, it would have been very heavy, very dark, and I wasn't looking for that. I'm using my die snips to cut out the side pieces, the squares, the rectangles, because I want to set this inside. Yes, the wonky stitch rectangle is making a comeback. I know you've all missed it. For those of you that have watched my other videos, it's still my favorite. And I wanted to set the ho 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 in the center. So I'm saving all of these pieces. I want to save the centers from the O's. I want to save the pop outs, the ho ho ho, everything. So I've cut 2 panels, and there will be a 3rd panel that I cut just in plain white cardstock. For this one, I'm actually just going around the edges with the ink that's left on my brush and just adding a little bit of touch, almost like I do with my vintage photo with a blending tool. But this time I'm using my brush. It's going to give it a different effect. Not too heavy, not too solid, but just gives it a little bit of shading. So for the first one, I'm going to grab my piece of acetate, I'm going to trim it down, and I'm just going to use my Nouveau Deluxe liquid adhesive on the panel, and then I'm going to adhere my acetate in place. I like to keep the tissue paper on because then my fingers won't give a lot of fingerprints, so to speak. Does that make sense? So by keeping that tissue paper on, it just kind of holds that back just a little bit. And here you can see I'm putting down my Nouveau adhesive. Once I've applied that, sorry, real quick, stepped away for a second. Once I applied that, I'm now going to push my adhesive down onto my card. And yes, we are going to make a shaker card. I hadn't made a shaker card in a while. So now what I wanted to do, and again, I apologize for the thumb. The thumb is still healing on this video. Yes, it's an awesome look, I know. And I found I cannot do too much with it because I mess up this section right here. I had to pull out the pick, but I slid across the acetate with the glue. But thank goodness it dries clear. And we were able just to clean a little bit of that up. But just by placing that hoe back in place with that centerpiece, that sounds horrible. Hoe, let's say H-O. Okay, because that other one just sounds horrible unless I'm saying all 3. Oh my goodness. It's easier to set that piece down in the letter O. I set the larger and then I set the diamond at the bottom one. So now that we have all of our front, now we just go to town with some double-sided foam tape. I do double the layer. So what I do is I just pull off a big strip and then I fold it back on itself. And then I take my thumb and index finger along the side of the double foam and push up. And then that's how I get those 2 layers to seal. Next time I do that, I'll make sure I'll put that in the camera. I usually do that off camera. So I'm just cutting pieces now just to fill in. I want the whole panel open, but I do want areas where the shaker bits get caught up or bounce off of. So it's almost like they have a pattern. When you're going to lay down this many sequins, you don't need a spoon. So I'm just dumping the collection that I put together. Now these are Craft Medley sequins. I believe they're the shades of blue. I just dump them all together. I don't keep them separate. I grab some of my silver stars. I grab some of my iridescent. So this is just a mix that I put together and just had fun with it and made a lot of it because I wanted this to be as full as possible. I am carefully pulling off the release paper. Now, some do pull the release paper off prior to filling it. You know, I find when I pull the release paper off and then fill it, the sequins stick on the double-sided foam tape. So I just take my time. That almost looks like normal time, but it is sped up. I just take my time peeling off my release paper after I have my sequins there. I have a panel that's cut to the same size, and I just adhere that onto the back. And that is our card, at least the design panel. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive, and I'm going to place that on my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is a top folding. What's nice with the larger wonky stitch rectangle, or the largest of the wonky stitch rectangle dies is it does leave just a slight border. So we're going to real quick set that aside and let's put together the second card. So real quick, I'm going to use the positive sections of the die cut that came from the original cut. So I'm going to set these in place. Now I was originally going to have ho 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 going across the front of my card. What's great is they have a pattern, they have texture, they have some dimension on them already, again, because of we used the panel that we created. So there's not much decorating that's needed. I added 3 dots along the front, and I'm going to add 3 of the sequins. Now, I put the different colors of the sequins and a star. I will come back and change that. That did not look right to me. I don't know why. It just was not pleasing to my eye, and it was making me giggle tremendously. So I do change that. So again, I pulled out my standard A2 size card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's a top folding. I'm going to set that panel in place. Here's where I'm like, we need to change this. And I'm just going to carefully remove with my tweezers those last 2, and I'm just going to pick up using my wax pencil sequins that are similar in that color. You know, in one of my other videos, I had been asked a question, do I like the wax pencil more than a gem pickup tool? Okay, real quick, back to the card. I took the third ho, and put that inside the card, and I'm just going to grab my black pen and just add an exclamation point. Yes, you could use the other items that I cut away from the die for an exclamation point, but these are the 2 cards coming from one panel that you created, pattern paper version, create a shaker card. You didn't have to create a shaker card, and then a card that can stand alone with the die cutouts. So back to the question, somebody had asked me, you know, do I rather my wax pencil or the jewel pickup tools? I do not have one of those. I do have the We Are Memory with the tacky stuff on the end with the pick at the other end. I do have that. I rarely grab for it. I do tend to use my wax pencils more. So I do like them, but I won't say I like them more. I'm just more comfortable using it. But again, that's my choice. So I'm glad that you came back to watch the next day. We are still continuing here. We're going strong. I know somebody also said they're going to go through withdrawal once the season's over. And that's a good possibility because I'm not going to be doing a video every day. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss all the other videos that are coming. There's so much more that's going to be coming out, and also for the new year. All the products that I used, as always, will be listed down below. Please know that at the time when I list them down in the video description, they are available. If they are not available anywhere, I will put a note there that says they are not available. So I give it my best shot to make sure that they are available for you. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave those down below. As you can see, if I remember some, I will try to answer them as I'm doing these videos. But I also will answer your questions and comments down below as soon as I can. I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope you're having a wonderful time getting ready for the upcoming holidays that are fast approaching. But remember what's most important for me. Always and every day, be creative. Be creative.